when I wanted to do my PhD dissertation, so it is not the first time, because when you want to gain your master degree, you should do something like dissertation, not thesis, but dissertation. But PhD is very huge project.
Mm-hmm.
We are worrying, we are a little confused. But because you said to me that it is your first time and you were a little confused, I checked it by details. And I said, perfect, Gabriela. Very
Thank you. I
good.
appreciate it.
And
That was
also, Courtney is always very good. It is very ordinary
yeah.
to be the
She's used to it.
top student. The previous session, Courtney, also in my class, I don't know about the other class.
Thank you.
Courtney was the only student who has 1,000 from 1,000 full number.
Nice.
I was worrying about her mothership roles in home. Such a mother she is. He is top student. What about the children? They should work hard and work hard. Also, it is a military family. I think it is very ordinary in your family to work hard because it is military family.
That's true. And both my kids are top students also. I'm very proud of them.
One of them go to school. One of them is 8 years, okay? 10
Yeah,
years.
they're in second grade and fourth grade.
Oh, second and fourth grade.
Wow, you look so young.
Thank you. Well, I did start early, but I'm
Oh,
30.
okay.
To be a young mother is sometimes
Yeah.
good and sometimes that is not good. It's
Mhm.
about totally it is good. In America, it is very ordinary that people, women between the age of 20 and 30 have between 3 to 4 children. There is an very Iranian reporter. Her name is Charlie Zomoridi. Charlie Zomoridi is one of the reporters, I think, in Fox News, very famous. Originally Iranian and very, very happy woman. She's very famous in my own country also. She's a role model for other women. Everybody wants to be like Shali. And Shali is meant the firm of the rices. In my country, it is called Shali. Somewhere they implant the rices, and also after that. Shali has 4 children between the age of 2 and age of 10. 4 children. And she is very famous. Also, she is not at the size of Christiane Amanpour. Christiane Amanpour also is originally from my country. The greatest reporter for CNN News, Christiane Amanpour. Shali is at the same size, a little smaller than Christiane because she's so younger. And she has 4 children. The smallest is 2 years. The first child is 10 years. And she's very well work hard. Also in America, it's very ordinary. People, young mothership is very ordinary in America. Okay, let's go to share my screen with you about the chapter 13. And today we will talk about 2 major issues in all history of all around the world, especially in America: politics and economy. Especially these days, politics and relationship between politics and economy these days is very important, because these days you see that because of coronavirus, we have a lot of economic problems. And solving these problems is related to political decisions. And such a politician, like the former president, Mr. Trump, some political decisions had a huge impact on the economical status of general population, general public. Because of that, one important issue in history and sociology is about politics and economy. First question: do you consider politics as a science or not?
Yes, because there's classes that are called political science.
Yeah, I know. For definition of science, two elements are important. One, everything which is studied, which is investigated in a scientific method, it is called science. What is scientific method? Gathering information, data collection, data analysis, and gaining a result in different approach of sciences. Deduction and induction, two major approaches of scientific methods. And secondly, everything which is studied and which is taught and which is learned in academy, in university, it is called science. Also, I am not agree with the second definition because we have a lot of lower levels academia or universities. So when you say political science, social science, behavioral science, what does it mean? It means that everybody that who wants to work in a political field, he or she should be graduated from a political science university or not. It is the major problem. If you want to do work in medical group, you should be graduated, at least graduated from a medical school. For very, very, very simple medical sciences, medical activities, medical jobs, very simple. If you want to be a very, very lower level nurse, you should go to university and take the courses. And after undergraduate or graduate, you should be, for example, a registered nurse and going to hospitals and other parts related to nursing jobs. What about the political sciences? If you want to be a politician, should you take the courses of politics? For example, was Donald Reagan a politician? Yes. Why? Because he was one of the 46 presidents of the history of this nation. But does he has any formal education, formal training in political sciences? I don't know. How do you think? Why people without any formal training in political sciences can perform like major political roles, for example, presidential roles? How do you think? What's the problem? Is it true? Is it false? Is it correct? Is it not correct? How do you think? How many people do you know that they work in political chapters, in political positions with a background from political sciences? If you say, yes, politics is science. Additional note is that everywhere you see at the end of a word S, it is for science. For example, you say physics, science of physics is physics, politics, mathematics, statistics. One of the terminology suffix for showing that, yes, this is a field of science, it is about to have S at the end of the word.
I do think politicians, they should have a political science background and should have gone to school for it. But I think
They
the
should.
reason
They
people like
should.
Trump, yes, they should.
They should. Why they didn't win? They didn't go.
I know, but they have I guess they rely on the people everyone else underneath them has. I could guarantee and tell, guiding or in a sense, but I think yes, political leaders should have that background.
In politics, we have three problems. One, political education. Two, political background. Three, to be a politician. Many politicians have political background, without any formal political education. Sometimes, so rarely, sometimes, like Trump, you see someone not only without any political education, but also without any political background. What a catastrophe it is if you say, yes, politics is a science. For example, John Kerry is a very high level educated man in political science. If you go to Google Scholar is some part of Google that help you to find the academic articles. All of them with abstract of articles. Sometimes they are free and you can see the full text. And also LIRN, Learn in your university in CalMU. We have a very good database for all the students for accessing the articles that you should pay for them. If you are not our student, you should pay for them. But now it's free for you. Also, university has paid money for it. Learn, LIRN. If you go there and write the name of John Kerry as a scientist in political science, as a researcher, as a theoretician, you see that this gentleman has a lot of good articles in political science, but also other people from different places of the world. And what about economy? Is economy a science?
Yes, economics with the S.
Economics is science? No, sometimes it had S at the end, sometimes it doesn't have. Is economy a science? What is the title of your field you are studying now? What is the title of bachelor you are receiving after the ending the courses? Bachelor of Science of?
Administration, business
Uh-huh.
administration.
Okay, business. So when you say, I am gaining Bachelor of Science of Business. So business is a science. Not in the modern world. At least from about 100 years ago, at least. We have the science of business. We have the science of marketing. When you say science, at least you should use some types of models and sometimes of mathematical tools, especially, for example, in business, in economy, in marketing. You have a lot of applications, a lot of programs for analysis about the market. Question for you. How are the social institutions of politics and the economy related? What are the advantages and disadvantages to capitalism, socialism, or communism as form of economic operating system? Where have you seen this phrase before, operating system? Where is so popular to use the phrase operating system? Do you remember anything? Maybe you don't know about it. The first, before Windows, the first operating system is for computers. The first operating system before Windows, about 25 years ago, 20 years ago, 25 years ago, it was DOS, Disk Operating System, DOS. DOS, very, very popular, very famous. The first operating system was called DOS. I think it was from Microsoft or Atari. I don't know. I don't remember the major company, but it was DOS, Disk Operating System. After that, entering the Macintosh, entering the Windows and other parts. Extra question. What are your body operational system? Do you know? What systems of your body are operational? Operating system is the system that help other systems work together for a shared goal. What are your operating systems?
Your nervous system?
At first is nervous system. Second,
Immune system?
immune system is not operating system. It's a supporting system. The next one is the system of your glands.
Mm.
Your glands and your nervous system are your operating system. Circulatory system and immune system and connective systems, connective tissues, and for example, digestive system, musculoskeletal system. These are systems. But two parts are very important. One part is about the connecting tissues. All the parts are connecting together by the connecting tissues, system. And the operating system that organize and harmonize the operation of other parts together are at first nervous system, your brain, and other parts of your nervous system and peripheral system and autonomic system. And the second part is your gland, your systems of gland. How would you rate the state of current USA economy? Okay. And chapter outline politics, power and authority, political system and global perspectives on power and political systems, the US political system, economic systems in global perspective, and work in the contemporary United States. Also, the book is about 2006, I think, or 2012. Experiencing politics and history as at a presidential inauguration. More than 80% of American adults use the internet, and many of them also participate in social networking sites where political information is available. How do you think?
True.
True?
True.
Studies have found that most users of social networking sites find these sites to be very important or somewhat important in keeping up with political news or discussing political issues with others. False or true?
False.
Persons who describe their political beliefs as conservatives are more likely to use social networking sites than those who describe themselves as moderate or liberal. Nothing? Gabriela is nothing.
Oh, false.
Do you know which party is related to liberal people and which party is related to conservative people?
Conservative are usually like Republicans,
Yeah. And liberal are
Democratic.
also, they are not at the same page. Democratic people are not at the same page of liberal people, but very near together. Persons using social networking sites are often surprised about what their friends have posted about politics because they assume that their friends' political beliefs were different from what their statements indicate. You say, for example, wow, your professor come to the session and says, Mr. Trump was not educated in political science and was not, for example, without any political background. And after, for example, 1 month, you see in my Instagram page that I am a fan of, for example, Republican Party. I said, what's the matter? He says that, yes, I think you can be Republican, but not in the same page of Trump. It's not at the same page. It's different. Okay. Persons using social networking sites are often surprised about what their friends have posted about politics because they assume their friends' political beliefs were different from what their statements indicate. False or true?
True.
Yes. Many times you see that your friends' views about the political approaches and political perspectives and political beliefs something different that you interpret, you can interpret from their behaviors or your general actions in the public, and you say, okay, it's not, for example, a radical Republican or radical Democratic man, but in the views, in the Instagram, in the Facebook, sometimes in the YouTube and other social networks systems, you can find that, wow, such a radical man or woman he or she is. Young adults and African Americans are more likely with white Americans and Hispanic to see social networking sites as important for keeping up with political news, recruiting people to get involved, finding others with similar views, and the debating or discussing political issues with others. How do you think about the difference between young adults and African American in contrast with white American and Hispanic American? About the discussing about the political views, how passionate you are about the, for example, presidential election, who is winner, who is loser, who is right, who is wrong. How do you think?
True.
It's true. Perfect. When the social networking site user indicate that they have changed their political views based on reading posts about specific issues. What is the most important? Also, Mr. Trump was very active in this application, in this program, and after that this program has become, this part of social networking has become a major part of political relationships all around the world, which is that
Twitter.
but
Twitter.
yeah, Twitter. Courtney, your voice is interrupted. Yeah, Twitter. After Mr. Trump's, Twitter has become one of the greatest seats, greatest
Platforms.
platforms for introducing their political views, and some parts in the mobile, sometimes in the computer, sometimes Twitter now is, and it is very important that in a country like America, that they have used their freedom of speech. And Twitter, I was surprised that anybody can say anything about anything that you want to say. It's not important, freedom of speech. But they blocked Trump because they said it is not very fair for saying anything, and it has, for example, some problems in Washington, D.C. and other parts of America. Because more media users have turned to social media for information about politics, traditional print and television journalists have taken a more active role in conducting investigations into the background and political platforms of candidates. How do you think? True or false?
False. Oh, I was waiting for Gabrielle on that one. I wasn't sure.
The number of viewers of local TV news programming has decreased each year since 2007, even in presidential election years. How do you think?
Yes, true. That makes sense.
I think 2 weeks ago, yes, 2 weeks, 2 Sundays ago, was Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, I don't know, it's not, it's my opinion. I think that people were in the streets, in the bars, in the streets, in the free space to to watch together the Super Bowl, was at the same amount of people that wants to know about the, for example, election results. Very passionate about the Super Bowl. With Corona, I went to, I think, Newport. I went to Newport and I think, wow, many people are in the streets and in the free space, in the out of the outdoor of the restaurants, and they are looking at the TVs and eating something. And because of that, I think about the election and presidential election, we have a decrease in the number of people who are engaged in gathering information about the results of presidential election. Okay, politics, power, and authority. I have at first some questions. What is the difference between power and authority? Are they the same or not? Power and authority.
Power and what?
Authority.
Authority.
Oh.
Yeah. What is the difference between power and authority?
Authority, you can is like laws and punishments or rewards, or if you have to abide by the laws. Power is a sense of leadership.
Always?
No, it can be what is the word? Oh, shame on me. I know it because from my organizational behavioral theory, I I can't think of the terms.
Yeah.
Like abuse of, because you're talking about, like, there could be abuse of power and
Yeah.
such,
Corruption.
and corruption.
Corruption, yeah. And other things? What the differences between power, force, and strength? I don't want the differences in the meaning of the words, because you are Native American and you know better than me the differences. I want to know the differences in action, in organization, in leadership, in management, in business, in sales. What is the differences? What are the differences between power, forces, and strengths? Not in the vocabulary, in application, in performance. Who is powerful? Who is strong? Who is forceful? For example, a manager. What are the difference between a manager, powerful manager, forceful manager, strong manager? Not in the terminology, not in the word, not in the meaning of the word, in the action. Which type of manager you said? Yes, she's a powerful manager. Which type of manager you said? Sorry, she's a forceful manager. And sometimes you said, wow, I have a strong manager. Even from your body language and your facial expression, I can say that what type of manager you are working with, him or her, as a powerful manager, as a forceful manager, or as a strong manager. But I want to know your opinion about the differences between power, force, and strength. For example, in the field, something like management or leadership. Say me something, brilliant minds. Nothing? Are the same?
No, I think a powerful leader.
Maternal roles. You consider yourself as a powerful mother, as a forceful mother, as a strong mother. Let's talk about your roles.
I think being a powerful is a more general respect level of, because forceful, your followers feel obliged to help you,
Uh-huh.
or they have to follow the rules. And strong, you can be a strong leader in some sense, but powerful, you have your followers to follow you because they believe in you, they want to.
Yeah.
And when we're talking about in a manager sense.
Yeah.
Whether,
So in which category do you consider authority? Authority is a type of power, is a type of force, is a type of strength. Which category you can
a type of
consider?
force.
Gabriela, what do you think? Which category we can consider under it for authority?
What?
Authority is a matter of power, is a matter of force, is a matter of strength.
Sorry, I can't hear very well. Can you repeat that?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. What type of categorization you can use for authority? Authority is a type of power, is a type of force, or is a type of strength? On your own opinion, it is not important to
I
be
think it's a type
scientific
of
or not.
power.
It's a power.
Yeah.
And also you consider authority in the categorization of power or strong or force. All of them?
I kind of do.
Maybe all of them.
It's a beauty of education that you can distinguish between the detailed differences, between the words, between the applications, between the performance, detailed, not general. General knowledge is for general population. When you are educated, you want to be educated, you are not from general population in that field of education. You are expert. To be expert is meant to be knowledgeable, to be wise man or wise woman, some in the highest rate, to be sage about that field that you are educated. And some types of education is related to the differences, detailed differences. Let's go to the PowerPoint and see the answers. Politics is a social institution through which power is acquired and exercised by some people and groups. At first, what are the keywords of the definition of power? Politics, sorry. Keywords at first. Politics,
Power.
institution.
Oh, institution.
Politics is an institution. What type of institution? Social institution. The main core of politics is society and power. The main cores. We have two main core concepts in politics. One, society. Two, power. And acquire. We will talk about the differences between politics and power, and we will see that sometimes a power is not acquired by other people, by a specific group. So, example, sometimes you can acquire your power from your, for example, ancestors and your family and your name and your father or mother's social prestige and other things that can influence and gaining and the methodology of gaining the power. Sometimes it is political power, sometimes it is economic power, sometimes it is social power. What is government? Government is the formal organization that has the legal and political authority to regulate the relationship among members of a society and between the society and those outside its borders. What are the keywords in government at first? What is the nearest
Formal.
word to the meaning, to the formal meaning of governing? In this definition, what is the nearest word to government is?
Formal organization.
No,
Political authority.
regulate.
Regulate.
Regulate is the nearest word formal meaning, not operational meaning. What is the governing something? Is it regulating something? Very, very based on literature, based on dictionary. If you go to the meaning the governing, it is regulating, for example. And next one is yes, organizing. But what are the core concepts in the definition of government? At first, we know every type of government you see, they are from the type of politics. Socio-political organization. They have the political power in a society. They are government. What is their role? What is their function as a government? It is regulate their relationship. So we have organization. Government is organization. It's a formal organization. You should know the members of a government. As you can know the members of an organization, the employee and other part, mid-level managers and top-level managers of an organization, you should know the different levels of membership in a government. For example, a president, a prime minister, and other people that work to government to regulate their relationships. So the major function of government is to regulate the relationship between the details, between the members, between the different organs. It is like a body. We have a body with different organs. What is the government of our body? Nervous system and gland system. These are the government. There is nothing direct doing by nervous system, by brain, or for example, by spinal cord. There is nothing doing, no action. Only coordination, only governing, only regulating the relationship, the activities of other organs will be done. These organizations, these coordinations will be done by nervous system and gland system. It's something like governing our body. But sometimes you see that, sorry, my hand doesn't any have obedience from my brain commands. It is out of command. And you go, for example, to a neurologist and they have some MRI from your brain. Why your hand doesn't obey the commands of your brain? We can find it something like it in your society. For example, in protest, one part of the society doesn't obey the rules of government. It's something, for example, in CVA, cardiovascular accident, cerebrovascular um, attack or accident in your brain. CVA, after that, some part of your body doesn't obey the command of the brain. So the major function of government is regulate the relationship, different parts of internal and external. As a whole complex, as a whole organization, as a whole body, if you can consider a society as a whole body, to organize and to regulate the different functions of different organs, different parts of society, it's by government, especially in some countries like America. It's very interesting. Every organ, every state has its fundamental different located rules, completely different. But we have a federal government here. We have a brain here. We have a spinal cord here that try to coordinate these different aspects, these different perspectives, these different actions together. Why? To be able to call it as a whole, like a country, so-called United States of America. But for example, in many other countries, you cannot find it. For example, in my country, there is no, we have some province, but we don't have any something like independent states with different rules. There's a government with the federal rules for all states. And all states should obey that. For example, the same tax rate, the same legal rules, and the same, for example, social ceremonies and other parts. Different tribes, different ethnics, and different races have their own, not rules, their own ceremonies, their own rituals, but not their own laws, their own legislation. Because of that, government is very important in different aspects you can consider. Sometimes federal government and separate states with completely different laws and different legal system and legislation. And sometimes, like my country, only one government, only one person, one organization can handle the other parts of a country. Both of them, the major function of government, don't remember, is about regulating the relationships at first. Second, it's a formal organization. What about the state? We talk about the state is a political entity that possesses a legitimate monopoly over the use of force within its territory to achieve its goals. So, the major word for a state is territory. Territory. A state is sometimes of geographical territory, geographical position, geographical limitations. That legitimate to consider its laws, to consider, for example, its social laws. For example, which is the most expensive state of America? Also, you cannot find, now you cannot find gold in it. Gold is over now, but it is now,
California.
yeah, it is always called as golden state, but you cannot find any gold. You should pay for gold, not gain for gold. Okay, you can see here with a lot of extra taxes. So greatest companies, which the vital blood of California is related to them. For example, Tesla, Google, Microsoft, other companies are going to the other states. Why? Because of state tax. Tesla is going to Texas without any state tax. Say goodbye to California, move to Texas, to Austin, Texas. Why? Because they're lowering the costs and lowering the prices. It is the state, but this is a legitimate monopoly. Monopoly is only for one part, only for one state, only for one market, only for one company. It is monopoly. And again, power. Power is the ability of persons or groups to achieve their goals despite opposition from others. So interesting. It says that if you want to have how many power you have, you should know how many oppositional power you have. Your power is determined by oppositional power against you. Power is a type of fight. Power is a matter of winning or losing. There is no peaceful power. When it is power, peaceful power, it is not power. It is called strength. Strength is peaceful. It is about collaboration. Power in organization, power in government, power in politics. We are talking in a matter of politics, not in the matter of, for example, personal power, organizational power, racial power. We are talking about the political power. When you are talking about the political power, you should know how many oppositional forces you have against you. If you are a company against your company, if you are a country against your country, you are your party against your party. So knowing the oppositional forces against your power is a very good scale to consider how much your power is. It is some time of showing off, not only showing, some exaggeration about your power. Because of that, we have some type of personality with the title of populist. Who is populist? What's the definition of populist? Who is populist?
Definition of
Populist, P-O-P-O-L-I-S-T, populist. For example, everybody says Donald Trump is a very good populist. What does it mean when they say he is populist? Populist, someone who his or her work is based on the general view of many people. He obeys and he wants to attract the attention of many people, many superficial people, not deep people, not expert people, populist, mid-level people or low-level people. He or she wants to attract their support. There's something with a very good show that it's me, a great leader. Not only about the President Trump, about other people all around the world. He is only a sample that we can talk about him just now. But it is very, very popular to be a popular actor, political actor or actress, political actor or actress, not really politician. It's a populist. I say we should solve all problems of human. I'm a populist psychologist. Because every rational psychologist, every intellectual psychologist said, yes, we can solve some problems of people, but not all problems. Nobody has solved all problems. Even prophets, they haven't solved all problems. They have provided for us some problem solving. Yes, they have said to us, this is the solution, that is the solution. But they cannot solve the problems. Why? Because you should solve your problem. What are the types of authority? Traditional authority, charismatic authority, and rational legal authority. Traditional authority is a power that legitimizes on the basis of long-standing custom. It's something like kingdom, something like to be a prince, to be a princess, to be a queen, to be a king. Long-standing custom. This is traditional authority, is power that is legitimized on the basis of long-standing custom. We can find the answers of the question that I asked you at the some minutes ago, that can you consider authority in the categorization of power, force, or strength? And you said both of them, all of them, only power, only force, only strength. You can see that in politics, we can consider authority in the categorization of power, because traditional authority is power that is legitimized on the basis of long-standing custom. Second type of authority is charismatic authority. Is power legitimized on the basis of a leader's exception, personal qualities, personal characters, personal personality, personal character, personal mannerism sometimes. Even sometimes we can talk about the personal stereotypic behaviors, very stereotypic, repeat it again. But it is very effective on other people. It is charismatic personalities, type of personality. Exception personal qualities, or the demonstration of extraordinary insight and accomplishment that inspire loyalty and obedience from followers. Number one, when you are talking about charismatic personality, you are talking a type of leadership. When and where can you see the charismatic personality in leadership? Leadership of your family, leadership of your organization, leadership of your society, leadership of your community, of your school, every type of leadership. One type of leadership, and very popular leadership, and the biggest picture that general people have in their mind as a leader, is some types of charismatic leadership. If you go to the street and ask people about the greatest leaders of, for example, United States, they don't talk about the rational leaders or industrial leaders. They talk about charismatic leaders, the social public figures that have captured the heart and the mind of people. They are charismatic leaders. Sometimes they are not right, they are wrong. Sometimes they don't do anything in the right way, yes, but they have charismatic leadership power, the authority, charismatic authority. Because of that, two main core concepts in charismatic personality or charismatic leadership or charismatic authority you should consider. First, loyalty of followers. Two, obedience of followers. Especially in charismatic religious figures, especially in charismatic religious figures. You can see, for going to war and losing their time of life, they can be killed for their ideology, is the highest ranking of obedience and loyalty. Or also for kingdom, we have a lot of confabulation about the kingdoms, especially in, for example, England and some parts of Middle East, in religious parts, some ancient kingdom, Egyptian kingdom, or for example, in Mexican parts of kingdom, you can see sometimes of loyalty, that the soldiers have full obedience of their king, full obedience, go straight, kill or to be killed. If you are going back, you should go back with your enemy, arrested or kill them. Except that you should be killed. And they obey. They are human beings. They are not foolish people. They are not stupid people. They are human beings, smart people. But the charismatic character, the charismatic figure of leaders, they say, yes, sir, Crystal, why not? So don't forget these two major elements of charismatic personality. You can find how charismatic a leader is based on the degree of obedience and degree of loyalty you can find in his or her followers. And the final part is rational legal authority, is the power legitimized by law or written rules and regulations. For example, authority because of a formal position like to be a president, to be a chief, to be a manager, to be a leader. It is by law, by written regulations. Concept quick review you can hear. Weber's three types of authority: Max Weber, traditional authority, charismatic authority, and rational legal authority. In traditional authority examples, you can find patrimony and patriarchy. In patrimony, authority resides in traditional leaders supported by larger social structures, as in old British monarchy. And patriarchy rules by men occupying traditional position of authority, as in the family. You can two parts of traditional authority. And in charismatic, you can see in Napoleon, Adolf Hitler, Martin Luther King Jr., and Cesar Chavez and Mother Teresa. They have charismatic leadership, charismatic authority. They are good examples. And in rational legal, for example, in modern British Parliament, you see the rational legal part of authority, or US presidency, or Congress, or federal bureaucracy. A monarchy. Monarchy is a political system in which power, so we are in the political system in global perspective. Monarchy is a political system in which power resides in one person or family and it passed down from generation to generation through lines of inheritance. Sometimes queens are inside the kingdom. Sometimes queens are not, only queens. It's a very exceptional, very rare position in England to have a queen as a king. Queen is always queen, the wife of a king. It's a very rare position that the major role is for a woman in a kingdom, not in a queendom. We don't have such things like, for example, queendom, it's a kingdom. But traditionally, in Sweden, I think, and in England, especially in England, we have a traditional approach to manage the kingdom by a woman. And sometimes I don't know why. Some types of women in England, in United Kingdom, in England, Ireland, Wales, and Scotland. These are the United Kingdoms. These countries are regulated, are governed by the kingdom system. Not honestly for kingdom, they have a prime minister, and prime minister is the first one. But as a respect to the tradition, yes, they have a queen. There are a lot of movies about this kingdom or this queen or that queen, and it's good for you as a woman to see the interpersonal and sometimes privacy of their queens. It's not so easy to be a queen as a woman, as a human being. Sometimes you think you are wasting your time of life as a queen. Why? You should be always under the camera of other people, that you are very interesting for them. And sometimes it's harm your privacy. Many times it harm your privacy. Authoritarianism is a political system controlled by rules who deny popular participation in government. It's authoritarianism. It is a question. What is the difference between authoritarianism and dictatorship? What is the difference? Is there any difference between authoritarianism and dictatorship or not? Are the same or different?
A dictatorship is, isn't it controlled by one person?
Yeah. Okay.
And it's their decision. Dictatorship is the dictator's final say.
Perfect. In dictatorship, you have a dictator. Highly recommended to see the movie Great Dictator by Charles Chaplin. Highly recommended. It was made 1939, the first year of Second World War, 1939, by Charles Chaplin. And it is about the Hitler. Hitler, just that year, Hitler started the war. It's great. It was great. If you know a little about the history of the fascism and Nazism in Germany, about the people around Hitler and the real personality of Hitler, you will find many psychological points in that movie. It is called Great Dictator. In dictatorship, there is only one person. Honestly, there is no rule. I am the rule as a dictator. I'm the rule, not ruler. I'm the rule. For example, we had a bad war with Iraq for 8 years when I was 9 years to 17 years old. All my adolescence was in the time of war with Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was, they said he is our president, but long life president. Such a president you are, that you are long life. It's a kingdom. When is the end of duration of presidential time? Until I die, I will die. Every time I will die, my presidential time is over. He was dictator, no rules, no ruler. I am. But in authoritarianism, we are a group, we are a party. We have some rules. For example, in theocratic government, like my country government. Theocratic is means you govern your country based on the religious, very religious rules. It is theocracy. Theocracy is meant dominancy of Zeus, dominancy of God, dominancy of religion. It is theocracy. In theocratic countries, theocratic governments, like for example, my country, Iran, there is a group and there is some rules based on that, the beliefs of that group. There is no popular participation. Okay. But it is not about one man. Also, we have a supreme leader. But it is not legally, it is not about the one man or one woman. It is about the one ideology, one very restricted, limited set of rules. Everything out of that rules, it is not accepted. There is no general participation in government. It is called authoritarian. So in authoritarianism, you see a group, you see an ideology. In dictatorship, there is no group, there is no ideology, only one person as a dictator governs everything. Also, honestly, it is not called government. It is called forceful dictatorship. And totalitarianism is a political system in which the state seeks to regulate all aspects of people, public and private life. Something like the USSR. USSR was the old systematic, political systematic of Russia and the other countries related to Russia was called until 1991, I think, or 1990. In that, there was a great revolution in Russia, in Moscow, and Gorbachev said it is the end of USSR, it is the end of the communism. Before that, it is totalitarianism. Everything was governed by government, by state. There is no private intellectual or private, for example, possession, ownership, nothing, nothing. Everything is for government. And democracy. Democracy is a great discussion, and you can have a 15 minutes break. And after that, I think, after that in 6:55, I will be here to enter the great discussion about democracy. Okay, let's go to one of the greatest and major discussions in political science and social science also about the democracy. What is democracy? As a citizen of a democratic country, what is democracy?
We
From
vote
childhood,
for
everybody has said to you, yes, it is a most democratic country in the world, US. What's democracy?
we we vote for our representatives.
Uh-huh. Is democracy is the same liberalism or not? Different. What's the meaning of liberalism? What's the meaning of liberal? You have liberal status here in New York. What is liberal?
Gosh, where'd that go?
Can we consider liberalism for freedom for everything that a human being can do? Everything? How can we consider liberalism in a society as a rule and at the same time some rules for controlling the criminal actions? For example, gun market in America is very dangerous market. Why? Because they don't have any assessment of mental health of the gun owners. It's not about the gun, it is the problem of gun owners. So you can see sometimes people who use their guns they are not at the very good mental health status. So they will kill other people. Is it liberalism? Freedom of action for everybody and everything, or no? We should consider some restrictions and some limitations in usage of freedom. Because of that, I ask you, what is liberalism and what are the differences between liberalism and democracy? Democracy is the kind of dominancy of people. Demo is, by Latin word, demo is mean people, and crazy is dominancy. Bureaucracy, democracy, theocracy, and other crazies. These are the good questions for you. Why? Especially for you, Courtney, because after some years, 2 years or 3 years after this time, your children would ask you that, what is liberalism? Can we free mother in a free country to do anything, for example, after the age of 18, after the age of anything, or no, it is fully only for example, smoking, drug, and alcohol? It's a good question that you should ask yourself. That what are the limitations of freedom? What are the limitations, the restrictions of freedom? What are the borders of freedom? Freedom is a borderless limitation without any border. If it is without any border, how can you control the country? You see a protest in Washington, D.C. only 2 weeks before ending time of Trump. Only 2 weeks. 6th of December, the presidential was December 6th of January. It was the January 20, ending the time of the presidential. Is it freedom? Is it democracy? Or it is a chaotic position? It's an anarchistic position in a country. Because you will be the next generation of leaders if you want to go to the upper states, upper level of organization, or you want to have your own business in the upper levels. You know about these questions. Because of that, we know that just time we are talking now, Bill Gates is more important than the president of United States. Why? Because he and his system, Microsoft, control everything. We have a lot of conspiracy theory about the coronavirus vaccine that is gained from Bill Gates. For example, I don't know, it is right or it is not right. I think that when you are talking about democracy in a country, in a society, you should consider the rational limitations of the freedom. After that, it is not freedom, it is crime. It is chaos. It is not freedom. And as an economic situation, you should know about these questions. It is not about the course you are taking and passing. It is about the mindset you should have in future. Democracy is a political system in which the people hold the ruling power either directly or through elected representatives, even directly or by their representatives. Representative democracy is when citizens elect representatives to serve as a bridges between themselves and the government. And having the parties is very important in a democratic legal situation like governments. We saw that what was the definition of government? It was a formal organization, formal institution, not informal, not illegal. Even when you're talking, thank you. Even when you are talking about, for example, someone like Adolf Hitler, it is legal. It's a government. He was a leader. So we know that his governmental system, his ideology was against the, for example, Jewish people. Yes. But it was legal. He was elected by German people. Many people, many thinkers all around the world think that, for example, somebody like Adolf Hitler was a great leader, not about the ideology, about the charismatic impression, not about the goodness, rightness, or badness or wrongness of his ideology. We are not talking about his ideology, we are talking about the personality. It was legal, it was government, it was democratic by voting, party voting, like America. Representative democracy is when citizens elect representatives to serve as bridges between themselves and the government. We have two bridges now here in America. One, House, two, Senate, Congress, and Senate. These are two bridges, two types of representative between government and people. Also, people choose government, the chief of government, the president, yes. But after that, for controlling the government, controlling the president, we have two organizations, Senate and Congress. And also in my country, something like this, also in England, in other countries, that we don't have any dictatorship. Yes, we have some organic and some live organizations. They are live. They are interacting with the other people in their society. Which political system do you like best? The best, Gabriela. Which political system do you like the best? Political system, not party. Democracy,
I
authoritative,
I don't understand enough to
dictatorship. How do
choose.
you think?
I don't understand enough to choose, honestly.
Democracy, totalitarianism,
I couldn't
authoritarianism, and monarchy.
I couldn't tell.
Power resides in person or family. Authoritarianism is a denied popular participation by control by rules. Totalitarianism system is state seeks to regulate all aspects of people like USSR. And democracy, do you know you are living in a democratic country? Yes. Also, everybody says honestly democratic, but I see sometimes democracy is not so wise. It's good. Between these categories, yes, democracy is best.
I
But
think too,
but
for the I didn't understand when you were asking at the time, but for liberals to explain that, and you could tell me if I'm saying it proper, they believe an individual like civil rights over law.
yeah,
Okay, did that answer the question from before? Because I was just trying to think of how to word it.
there's a problem. There's a paradoxical state between democracy and capitalism. The major problem is here. In European countries, especially in North European countries, Scandinavia, Sweden, Norway, Denmark, Finland, you see democratic, but it is not capitalistic. What does it mean? It means that if you want to have a fair distribution of money, distribution of wealth, you cannot be democratic. You should have a good government to distribute the money, distribute the wealth between all levels of society. It is socialism. So the major problem is the conflict between democracy and capitalism, and sometimes it is not capitalism, it is imperialism. Imperialism is about the power. We want to build our empire. It is imperialism. You cannot to be imperialistic and also at the same time to be democratic. These are, there is no interaction. They cut each other. Because democracy is based upon the population we view. The major population, the majority of voting of people is democracy. Also, in some different system, for example, electoral house in America is not so.
What happened?
I think he'll be back. I don't know what he did. That was a pretty picture, your screensaver.
Yeah, very different, right?
I know on Tuesdays I always have a system. I like do everything and then like I try to shower by like 5. So then I'm always like just getting out of the shower into my pajamas like before I go to this class. And I'm always like the hot mess express.
Yeah.
My husband just tried to bring in like a plate of steak and stuff for dinner. And I was like, no, you have to leave your camera on for this one. I can't eat right now.
I
like
hate these online classes. I hate to have to be on camera all the time. Sucks.
And especially when there's only such a few number of people in the class.
I know.
You got to be like
you and me, yeah. And he asks a lot.
I had him for organizational behavior theory, and it was only me and one other person too last time.
Oh wow.
Last semester.
Oh my god.
Do you know what classes you're taking in March?
Yeah, it's computer something, analytics, something like that. And what is the other one? I have it right here. Forgot the name. What are you having?
Sorry.
Oh, he's back.
My computer was off. I didn't know. The battery. I checked the battery or something. Sorry.
It's okay.
You're on mute, Dr. T.
Can you hear me? Yeah. Perspective on power and political system, the pluralist model. The pluralist model assumes that people share a consensus and that the government has important functions that no other institution can fulfill. Consider a great role for the government and a unique role for government and general consensus about the everything in different aspects should be governed by government. It's the pluralist model assumes that people share a consensus and the government serve important functions that no other institution can fulfill. And according to this model, power in political system is widely dispersed throughout many competing interest groups. It's something like here, competing interest groups. You can call the interest group competing interest groups, so you can consider them as political parties. For example, government from a functionalist perspective, you have four perspectives in sociology. The first is functionalist perspective. You can see what, for example, functions a government can play in a society as a judgment and the justice, education, and social protest and war and defense, and for example about the civilizations and other parts education. The government from the functions perspective has many functions. Because of that it's called plural. It is mean many functions. It is pluralism, different aspects, different functions. And we have political action committees here, or PAC. PACs are organization of a special interest group that solicits contributions from donors and fund campaigns to help elect candidates based on its stances on specific issues. They are called PACs. PAC is very, very popular in America, very popular. For every specific issue, for every specific interest in America, you can find many PACs. They are gathering money for broadcasting their ideology or their interest, share interest, for example, in politics, environment, in green space, and other parts. Sometimes for the, for example, protests like protests against the color, people of color, and other problems, minorities, majorities. In different aspects, you can find many PACs. What's the difference between PAC and, for example, NGO? PAC has a P at first. P is mean political. Many NGOs are not political. Sometimes they have some political gains. Yes, why not? They are acting something, they are doing something in society, and they can gain some political support. But the main goal of an NGO is not politics. But the main goal of the PAC is politics. Now, at the end, some PACs go to shape the government or a major or minor part of government because they are political action committees. You can see some PACs in super PACs in 2012 presidential action. For example, you see the amount of money they have gathered for presidential election in 2012. 2012 was, the competition was between Obama and Mitt Romney, I think. I don't remember. The candidate of Republican.
McCain.
What?
Wasn't it McCain?
The name of the candidate of the Democrat, Republican was?
Oh, between the Democratic choices?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It was competition between Obama and I don't remember the candidate of Republican in 2012. The elite model is a very, very, very power-based, very power-based. I said that it is a master-slave model, master-slave model when you are talking about the elite people. According to elite model, power in political systems concentrate in the hands of a small group of elites, and the masses are relatively powerless. According to elite model, power in political systems is concentrated in the hands of a small group of elites, and the masses are relatively powerless. Relatively. Do you believe this system? Many people think that it's a good system to govern the country, to govern the world by elite group. Why not? They are not expert. They are between the expert people and genius people, lower than genius people and upper and higher than expert people. How do you think about the elite model? Is it good or not? Is it functional or not?
I like how it says the masses are relatively powerless.
You have problem with this
Yes,
item?
I don't like that.
This is paradoxical. If general population has a lot of power, we cannot work with elite people. If elite people has the major power to decision making, okay, general population, go home and enjoy your life. Let us govern the country. What's your problem with this model? They are not theft. They are not robbing our capital from country. They are elite people, more than expert people. Yes, general population doesn't have any good and high rate of power. Yes. But what's the problem? They are elite for governing a country, highly educated, highly experienced. They are highly thinkers. Because I heard a lot this your criticism to this model. That sorry, but what about our votes? No vote. Go home and you enjoy your life. For example, in an organization, honestly, you have the elite model in our organization. You don't go to the working class people in our organization. Said, how do you think about the management of this organization? Would you do this? No, you are the manager. You are the elite. In an organization, there's an elite model. As a general manager, yes, it is important your employee satisfaction. That's good. It is not about the decision making. It is about the outcomes of the organization. Yes, as a general manager, you know that your employee satisfaction, employee sense of belongingness is very important. That's good. Why not? But as decision making, do you quote, for example, to the simple worker said, how do you think about my decisions? Is it good or not? I haven't heard it. I haven't heard it. That the general manager go to the, for example, with simple workers and say and ask them about the goodness and effectiveness of his or her decision making. Why? It is not about the powerless of simple workers. It is good that they are powerless because they don't have any specific knowledge about management of that specific country or that specific organization.
I understand.
Until the time, until the time that these elites capture the right of other people. Yes, in that time, it is not the organization. It is not. It is a type of chaotic system. Yes, in that time, I think we have some regulatory over the elite people. For example, Senate and Congress, and also in family, you have elite model. You don't ask your children about the rightness and goodness and effectiveness of your decision as a mother. If you think something is wrong, it is wrong. You describe for your children, yes. You educate it, yes. But if finally they don't understand your goal, your meaning, sorry, it's not related to you. I am the mother and I know the life better than you, and you should obey my comments. It's an elite model? Yes. Why? Because you are elite. Pluralist and elite models, you see elite model is top level and pluralist model is a circle. Decisions are made on behalf of the people by leaders who engage in bargaining, accommodation, and compromise in pluralist model. But in elite model, decisions are made by a small group of elite people. In pluralist model, you see competition among leadership groups makes abuse of power by any one group difficult. But elite model, consensus exists among the elite on the basic values and goals of society. And power is widely dispersed, and people can influence public policy by voting in pluralist model. In elite model, power is highly concentrated at the top of the pyramid shaped social hierarchy. And in pluralist model, public policy reflects a balance among competing interest groups, but in elite model, public policy reflects the values and preferences of the elite. Welcome to US political system, the final discussion. A political party is an organization whose purpose is to gain and to hold legitimate control of government. It's the definition of political party. A political party is an organization whose purpose is to gain and to hold legitimate control of government. Traditionally, we have two major political parties in this country: Democrat Party and Republican Party, and also Green Party is a very short part of the party. Major U.S. political party you can see here: Green Party, Tea Party, Reform Party. But the major part is about these parties. Justin was the Green Party candidate for president in the most recent U.S. presidential election. Only recent, the many elections using only one candidate. How does the Green Party differ from other political parties? It's good. You are a minority, yes, but you are unique. A very small party, only one candidate, always, each 4 years. Political socialization. At first, what is the meaning of socialization? We know, for example, socialization process in children. What's the meaning of socialization? Can you consider people around yourself, your wife, your husband, your children, your mother, your friends, your father? Have you considered them as socialized people? If you say yes, what are the cues to understanding the degree of socialization in other people? And if you say no, sometimes they are asocial and sometimes they are antisocial. It's different. Asocial is far from society. Antisocial is inside society but against society social rules. They are antisocial. If they are asocial or antisocial, how can we talk about the degree of socialization in other people? For example, sociopath people. Is there any distinct feature for defining the socialization degree? It's a good question to think about it, because one part of socialization is political socialization. Political socialization is a process by which people learn political attitudes, values, and behavior. Political socialization is the process by which people learn political attitudes, values, and behavior. Everything you are using and you are educated for them, for those issues in your society, it is called socialization process. For example, about how should you behave with your neighbors, how should you obey or disobey the rules of social rules or legal parts of your society, or how do you know about your cultural rituals. These are the different elements of socialization process. One part is about your values, about your thinking, about your attitudes, about your worldview, political worldview, or political ideology. It is called political socialization. Some part of this socialization, like other parts of social socialization, have been learned and occurred in your family, source family, major family, original family. Other parts after adolescence and entering your young adulthood, other parts, other components are example of socialization for love, socialization for job, socialization for education, for educational environment like universities, and also political socialization. Other parts, other components are shaped after entering the young adulthood age, and it is observational learning, learning from elites around yourself, learning about the major thinkers or major actors, major influencers around yourself. You will learn from them and you will be socialized in different aspects. One of the greatest aspects also in different countries, it is so different. For example, in America, I don't see very high degree of political socialization. People know a little about the politics, about the major parts of it, only about the president. Other parts, the people say, yes, it's not my duty. I have voted to my favorite president and his or her and his or he or she and his or her numbers, cabinet numbers, no government numbers, government members know that how to govern the country. They don't know a lot, a huge no, they don't have any huge and many knowledge about the politics. But some in other countries, for example, in Southern Europe, in some parts of Middle East, when you talk about politics with people, people know a lot about politics. Also, it is not so good because they know very chaotic information about the politics. They listen to the news, and their mind will be so anxious. Politics is a science and should be done, but it's scientists. Politics needs its men, its women, politicians. It is not good for you, for me, as a general population, member of general, to know very high about the politics. Because of that, we want to create change, or we don't have any power to that desired change, and after that, we will be suppressed by these not bad news, undesirable news, out of control news. So a mid-level, a mid-range of information about the politics is good only as a socialization process. If you are eligible to vote, how do you decide who to vote for? It's a good question about the items you should consider when you want and you choose that which party, which person I should vote that can be more effective, can be better for me, for my family, for my city, for my state, for my country, for all around the world. Why? Why I should that person and I should not vote to that person? What are the criteria for choosing, political choosing? Because the icon of democracy is voting. When you want to country, ask other governors, ask the leaders, in which areas your people have the right to vote, have the right of choice, have the right to vote. Many different areas, it is more democratic. More democratic a country is when you find more areas for voting, for asking many people that do you want it or not. More authoritarian a country, a government, it is less voting situation. And you see the degree of freedom in different countries based on this criteria. For example, in America, people can vote for many things, not directly, indirectly by their representative in Senate and Congress. But in, for example, dictatorship countries, I don't want to ask any country to name and call any country, but you can find in non-democratic countries that they don't have any direct or indirect voting system, even based on the race, even based on the gender. Some countries now, one of their honors in 21st century, one of their honors is that yes, now we have given the right of voting for to our women. It is one of their ownership now that it's already that between these countries see that what area they are living, that in the 21st century they are talking about the gender equality in voting. Yes, I know we have a lot of problems in gender equality, even in America, I know. But it's not about the basic right of basic human right, something like voting. It is about, for example, going to jobs. It is about the sexual harassment. It is about the people of color. Yes, in America, we have a lot of problems. Why not? And protest against and some gaining some rights and protest and struggle and other things. But for example, in some countries, they said, yes, we are at the position that we are giving our women the right of voting and, for example, going not to be a president, only voting for a president. The world is not so matured that it wants to be. It was not so matured. It is not very political growth. We cannot very high level of political growth all around the world. Don't look at only the United States or some developed countries in Europe. Other parts of the world, even in far east of Asia, you can see a lot of dictatorship. And people are happy. Why? Because when you don't have any other choice, sorry, you don't have any other anxiety about your responsibility for your choice. If you don't have any anxiety, you are happy. Freud says in his book that civilization is the root of anxiety. And in that time, at the first years of 20th century, everybody says, what Freud is talking about? Is he against the civilization process? He, as a psychoanalyst, says that no, when you are civilized, you have the right of choice. It is the meaning of civilization. More rights of choice, more options for choice. When you have more options for choice, you have more anxiety to choose, and you have more anxiety for responsibility of your choice. And because of anxiety, the life will be so complicated, and you will experience a high level of stress or anxiety because of that simple living, very simple living, you know, not in the cities, in the very, very out of the cities, countries or very out of the cities areas, rural areas. You can find that yes, people live very simple, not having any stress. In the cave, human being has experienced extra stress and anxiety in the cave. For example, near 6,000 years ago, 7,000 years ago, we were in cave, or older that time, 10,000 years ago. We have some painting about experiencing the stress, but not this level and this type of stress, very simple stress about, for example, hunting. Because of that, Freud says that the root of anxiety is in civilization. And voter participation in 2012 presidential election by race and ethnicity, you can see 72% were white and Hispanic people 10%, Asian 3%, other 2%, and black people 13%. And state by state, in other parts, typical federal citizen employee. And we have a word here in the US political system, we have a word, iron triangle, the military industrial complex, which is iron triangle. Iron because it is military, very, very hard, very rigid power, always is military or is army people. The military industrial complex or iron triangle is the mutual interdependence of the military establishment and private military contractors. It's sometimes, it is very ordinary in America. I haven't seen this type of good military forces in other parts in other country. US Army is very important. And US Army is the origin of many investigation in other areas which is not directly related to Army. For example, leadership. Go to Google Scholar and see the articles about the leaderships. Many of the good articles, very, very accreditable, very valid articles about leadership style is by the grants of the US Army. Or, I don't know, you know or not. Do you know the origin of internet is from US Army? The origin of something that you call now internet is from US Army. About, I think, yes, near 30 years ago. The origin of internet is from US Army. Also, it was intranet, very, very localized networking, computer-based networking between different areas of US Army. And after that, it was getting greater and greater and greater and go to be an international system for communication, so-called internet. Iron Triangle Power, your Congress, Department of Defense, and defense contractors. And the final discussion, final part is about economic system in global perspective. You see, the economy is a societal institution that ensures the maintenance of society through the production, distribution, and consumption of goods and services. We have primary sector, secondary sector, and tertiary sector. The primary sector production is the extraction of raw materials and natural resources from the environment. It is one part of production, sectors for producing. The secondary sector production is the processing of raw material into finished goods. And the tertiary sector production is the provision of services rather than goods. For example, education is a tertiary sector. And now, during and after COVID-19, we will confront with a very great aspect of tertiary sector production because we can find many people are producing and also they are receiving and gaining services without not any realistic, any materialistic, any physical facility, but with the lower facility, physical facility they need. For example, education and university. Before COVID, some courses were online, some courses were not online. But now everything is online, not online. Instead of a hybrid, we say online and online. If you are online, it is mandatory to go to the class in that time in the cyberspace. If it is online, you can check it, the videos after the ending the classes. Because of that, I think from this time and to the next times after COVID, post-COVID, we have the tertiary sector production is very important and has captured a huge share of market. Capitalism, welcome to capitalism, is an economic system characterized by private ownership. Capital is the money which is private ownership, which has private ownership. It is the difference between capital and wealth, between capital and money. Capital, the major word in definition of capital, for example, you say psychological capital. There's a very, very, very good book by the title of Psychological Capital. It is an organizational capital and psychological capital. It is about the usage of the strengths of your personnel, of your employee, of your co-workers in your organization. I don't remember the name of the author. I think it was Lethan, Lethan. I think, I'm not certain about the name of the author. I think the name of the author is Lethan, Lethan. The title of the book is Psychological Capital. It's very, very useful, effective. Consciousness rising about the organization, about the human being. Capitalism is an economic system characterized by private ownership of the means of production from which personal profits can be derived through market competition and without government intervention. And you see also Yahoo, Marissa Mayer, and corporations. Pay attention, please. Note that the differences between the corporation and organization and company. Corporations are organizations, a type of organization that have legal powers, such as the ability to enter into contracts and buy and sell property separate from their individual owners. It has a legal personality, legal character. Transnational corporations are large corporations that are headquartered in one country but sell and produce goods and services in many countries. Okay. And oligopoly refers to an industry dominated by just a few companies. It is not illegal in yes, trust is trust law, trust act is illegal in United States, but oligopoly is something legal and illegal. It's a terminology for professional in economy, not in legislation. A shared monopoly is when four or fewer companies supply 50% or more of a particular market. It is illegal in America. For capitalistic, it is very good in America that capitalism is not a motto. It's a real factor of economic system of America. You have many laws to protect capitalism, to protect. It is law. You should go to court. If, for example, you uh, shape a form a trust, some companies that capture more than 50% of an industry, it is illegal. You should go to court and explain to the court. You should go to prison if you shape and form a trust or, for example, shared monopoly. Conglomerates are a combination of businesses in different commercial areas, all of which are owned by and one holding company. Also, sometimes it is called holding company. And interlocking corporate directorates are members of the board of directors of one corporation who also sit on the boards of other corporations. If, in America, if you are in two companies, in the board of directors of two companies, that those companies are competing together, you are criminal. You should go to court. It is illegal. You cannot be a member of the manager board of companies, managerial or board of managers of two companies that they are competing together. You cannot do it. You cannot do it. You should go to court. It is criminal. It is illegal. You cannot do it. If the companies are competing together, if not, it is not important. So because that it is interlocking corporate directorates are members of the board of directors of one company who also sit on the boards of other corporations. If the corporations are enemy together, they have competition with each other, it is illegal. And the General Motors board of directors, you see confounding farmer chair, a retired chair, and the name of great people. You should, it is personal recommendation to you, but highly recommendation to read the books about the biography and especially autobiography of great businessmen and businesswomen. For example, there is a good book about the founder of Honda. He was an engineer. He was not businessman. At all, he was not a businessman. Until the end of his life, he was not a businessman. But see that Honda, how can Honda shape a great company, multinational company, by a good manager, a good business manager? When they come together as a good manager, business manager, marketer, and a very genius engineer working together has shaped the company so-called Honda that's a multinational. Okay, go to your quiz, week 7 quiz, and next week the final quiz, and study hard for it. It is very good exam.
How long it's gonna be the final exam?
1 hour.
1 hour?
Yeah. It's
And it's
like
gonna
midterm,
be
like midterm
like
quiz.
the mid one with
Yeah.
the, so we have to write. It's not like multi options question.
I cannot say anything about it. It is easy.
Okay.
But look at the books so seriously.
Okay.
It is about the details.
Okay.
Okay, go to take the quiz, and I am here. If you have any question, I am here until 8.
Okay, thank you.